Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the first Town Council meeting of the municipal year. This is our annual statutory meeting of Biggleswade Town Council. You'll see from the first item on the agenda, it is the election of the Town Mayor for 2025. So the first item there is, so can I have nominations for the office of Mayor for 2025, please? Councillor Russell.
I'd like to nominate Councillor Mark Foster.
Good option, Councillor Russell. Thank you very much. Do I have a seconder for that proposal? Councillor Barrett.
I'd like to second that, please.
Thank you very much. Do we have any other nominations, please? I see no other nominations, in which case, slightly weirdly, I'll declare myself to be the Mayor of Biggleswade for the next municipal year then. Thank you very much. Well done. So I now have to complete the formalities, which Peter's got here. So I'll fill in the other one if that's all right. So I'm going to fill it in first and then read it out. Okay, so I, Mark Foster, having been elected to the office of Town Mayor, declare that I take that office upon myself and will duly and faithfully fulfil the duties of it according to the best of my judgment and ability. It's official. Thank you very much. Okay, so next item then is the declaration, the election of the Deputy Town Mayor. Do I have nominations for that position, please? Councillor Knight.
I'd like to nominate Councillor.
Okay, thank you very much. Do I have a seconder for that? Oh, we've got two. Excellent. So, Councillor Russell or Councillor Patel are seconding.
Okay, I would like to second Gary.
Thank you very much. Okay. Do we have any other nominations for the role of Deputy Mayor, please, for this year? See no other hands. In which case, congratulations, Councillor Barrett. Well done.
I, Gary Barrett, having been elected to the office of Deputy Town Mayor, declare that I take the office upon myself and will duly and faithfully fulfil the duties of it according to the best of my judgment and ability.
Well done. Thank you very much. Okay, so we'll move on to the next item on the agenda. So the next item is the membership of standing committees. So we will go in whichever order. Shall we? We'll go with Town Centre Management. So what we do here is members of the committee are asked to stand. So if you are currently on the committee or wish to be on the committee, please stand. And at that point, once we've established who's on the committee, we will then take nominations for the chair and deputy chair. So please stand if you wish to be on the Town Centre Management Committee, please. Okay, Catherine, are you able to note those? I'm sure we can pick it up later if we need to. Okay, thank you very much. So do we have a nomination for the chairman of the Town Centre Management Committee, please?
I nominate Councillor Woodhead.
Okay. Do I have a second to that proposal? Thank you, Councillor Knight. Any other nominations for the chairman of the Town Centre Management Committee? No. Okay. Thank you very much. Well, congratulations, Councillor Woodhead, in your absence. The next committee is going to be the PLOS committee, so feel free to stay standing. Otherwise, we're going to be up and down all evening. So, oh, beg your pardon. Floor number one. So yeah, please stand. So the nominations for Deputy Chair of Town Centre Management, please. Councillor Knight.
I'd like to nominate Councillor Patel.
Do I have a second of that proposal, please? Councillor Thomas. Any other nominations for Deputy Chair of Town Centre Management? No, okay, congratulations then, Councillor Patel, well done. Right, so the next one we're going to do is the Public Lands and Open Spaces Committee. Please feel free to stay standing if you're on that committee rather than up and down. So the members of that committee are, as will be recorded by the clerks. Happy? Okay, so do I have a nomination for the chairman of the committee, please? Councillor Thomas.
I'll nominate Councillor Mike North, please.
The seconder, please. Okay, Councillor Knight. Do I have any other nominations, please? Councillor Owen.
I'd like to nominate Councillor Skilton.
Okay, do I have a second to that proposal, please? Okay, so we've got, have we got any other nominations, please? So we have Councillor North and Councillor Skilton for the chairman and plus. So what we'll do here then is we'll take the nomination. So the member of the committee will then decide who the committee chairman is. So Catherine's going to come around and bring a sheet with the names of all the candidates on. Please essentially tick the person that you would like to be the chairman of the committee. And what will happen then is Catherine and Funda will calculate the numbers and the chairman of the committee will be decided. Excellent. I just realised there's been a slight flaw in the process because my nomination, I didn't actually fill one in myself. So that's my own fault, isn't it? I've now got to make a public decision on something that without a nomination. So on that basis, as my nomination hasn't recorded, it's fairly obvious that I'm going to make a decision publicly. So I will make a decision that for this year, Councillor North will be the chair of Public Lands and Open Spaces. Okay, congratulations, Councillor North. Can I have nominations for the vice chairman of the?
Yes, I nominate Councillor Thomas.
Okay, and a seconder, please. Councillor Knight. Any other nominations, please? Okay, Councillor, I'm going to go with Councillor Strawn. Councillor Skilton as a vice chairman. Okay, any others? Seconded there. Okay, we'll go through the process again. This time, can I have a sheet? That'd be helpful. Flaw in the system there. Didn't even pick up myself, did I? Yeah, I'll keep one this time. Future reference that we're not going to have an even number next year. Okay, so I'll make a decision then. I'll stick with my vote. I'll stay with Councillor Thomas as the Vice Chairman of Public Lands and Open Spaces. Thank you. Sorry, you can sit down. Unless you happen to be a member of the Personnel Committee. So we're going to do personnel this time. So please stay standing for personnel. Sorry. So the members of the Personnel Committee are standing. Councillor Patel, you can't do both. Thank you. Okay, so can I have nominations for the Chairman of the Personnel Committee, please? Councillor Gilcher. Okay, do I have a second of that proposal? Councillor Knight, thank you. Any other nominations for Chairman of the Personnel Committee? No, okay, congratulations, Councillor Russell. You are Chairman of the Personnel Committee. Well done. Excellent. Okay, and do I have nominations for the Deputy Chair of Personnel, please? Councillor Russell, thank you. Do I have a second of Councillor Gilcher? Councillor Knight, thank you. Any other nominations for Deputy Chairman of Personnel? No. Okay. In which case, congratulations, Councillor Gilcher. Well done. And the final committee, before we get started, sat down. Next one is the Finance and General Purposes Committee. Feel free to stand again. Okay. Okay, so do I have nominations for the Chairman of the Finance General Purposes? Councillor Agnew. Okay, do I have a second of that proposal? Councillor Knight, thank you. Any other nominations for the Chairman of Finance and General Purposes, please? Okay, no others, in which case, congratulations, Councillor Strawn. Well done, thank you. Do I have the nominations for the Deputy Chairman of Finance and General Purposes? Councillor Strawn. Okay, do I have a seconder, please? Councillor Thomas, thank you very much. Any other nominations for Deputy Chairman of Chairman? Deputy Chairman of F&GP. There's always at least 5 during a meeting. Don't worry. Any other? No other nominations. In which case, congratulations, Councillor Agnew. Well done. So you can now be seated. I think that's all of the standing committees resolved. Oh yes, the appeals committee is a little bit more straightforward, but yes, so we do have the appeals committee. So the nominations for those people that wish to stand in the appeals committee, please show. Councillor Barrett, were you in person as well? Did you weren't on the personnel committee? Is that correct? Okay, thank you very much. So I have 3 people who wish to be on the appeals committee. That's potentially Councillor Barrett. Anyone else wish to join appeals? Okay, thank you, Councillor Agnew. because you're not in personnel, correct? Yeah. If you're not in personnel, that's a real help. Do I have then in which case any nominations for the chairman of the appeals committee?
I nominate councillor Patel.
Okay, do I have a second of that proposal, please, councillor Agnew? Okay, thank you. Any other nominations for chairman of appeals? Okay, in which case, congratulations, councillor Patel. Well done. And do I have nominations for the deputy chairman of the appeals committee, please? Don't all sound talk at once. Anyone wish to be the? Okay, councillor North, do I have a second of that proposal? Councillor Agnew. So councillor North is proposed and seconded. Any other nominations for the deputy chairman of the appeals committee? Okay, in which case, congratulations, councillor North. You are the deputy chairman of appeals. Well done. It's an onerous task, and we hope it remains onerous. Thank you very much. Right, we now do have the Biggleswade Joint Committee. So again, we're going to look to have nominations from the Biggleswade Town Council's representatives on the Joint Committee. So we have 4 candidates, 4 representatives and two substitutes. So could I have the names of volunteers who would wish to be on the Biggleswade Joint Committee? So Councillor Thomas, Councillor Russell, Councillor Steele-Skilton, Councillor Barrett. So on that basis, sorry, and Councillor Strawn. So on that basis, as we've got more than the 4, we will go around, and what I'm going to ask you to do is vote for the 4 people that you wish to be on the Biggleswade Joint Committee. Okay, so that's 4 people, and then we'll, the 4 people with the most votes will be on the Biggleswade Joint Committee. Councillor Russell.
Jonathan Woodhead is absent, but he does want to be on the joint committee. So can we add him to it?
We can, yeah, we can include Councillor Woodhead on that. Councillor Strawn. Yeah, so stand up, make it easy for everybody. Thank you. So if you mark on your piece of paper who's actually who's we've got Councillor Thomas, Councillor Strawn, Councillor Barrett, Councillor Albone, Councillor Skilton, and Councillor Russell. Correct? Is that the 6? 1, 2, 3, 6. Okay. Yeah, I think you can sit down there for a moment. Well, it's going to be a while.
Could only happen here.
Okay. So we have 3 candidates that have been chosen by the council, and then there is 4th and 5th candidates that are level, giving me a decision to make once again. Thank you very much for that. I appreciate it. So on the Biggleswade Joint Committee will be Councillor Barrett and Councillor Russell and Councillor Strawn. Congratulations for those 3. I now have to make a decision between Councillor Albone and Councillor Thomas. Go ahead, Councillor. If you're happy to do that, save me to make a decision. No, there was a bit of a pause. Okay. I'm happy that avoids me making a public decision, but if that's the way you want to go, Councillor Thomas, I'm happy with that. Yeah. So in which case, congratulations, Councillor Albone. You are a member of the Biggleswade Joint Committee. Well done, along with everybody else. Thank you. Thank you, Councillor Thomas. And Councillor Thomas and Councillor Woodhead are the substitutes. Thank you very much. Councillor Albone?
Yeah, just so on substitutes, it would be good to have a mechanism to inform substitutes when they are needed, because that has never ever happened in my experience.
So I think that's an absolutely fair point. So given that Councillor Albone seems to have stepped in on a number of occasions when there have been absentees at the Joint Committee, so if you are a member of the Biggleswade Joint Committee and are unable to attend a meeting, perhaps we should identify a process. We will deal with the process. What that looks like at the moment, it probably should be that members of the committee that can't attend inform the clerk, so that the clerk can then contact the substitutes. But we'll clarify that in due course. You'll know that we can't as such deal with any nominations for the chairman and deputy chairman at this committee, because that's decided by the Biggleswade Joint Committee. So we're not going to go there. So the next item then is the appointment of representatives to following bodies. So the Bedfordshire Association of Town and Parish Councils, we have 3 members for voting at the AGM. Do I have any nominations? Anyone wish to represent the council on those bodies, please? So I've got Councillor Thomas, Councillor North and Councillor Knight. Anyone else wish to represent the council on that body? No. So Councillor Thomas, Councillor North and Councillor Knight, then you are the representatives. Well done. Thank you very much. Congratulations. Next is the Biggleswade Friendship Group. So we have 1 member and 1 substitute on this group. Any nominations anyone wish to attend, please, on behalf of the council? I've got Councillor Skilton. Anyone else wish to do that? Councillor Russell?
Can I nominate Councillor Woodhead, who's been doing that role?
Yeah. So we've got then. Okay. So I need a second, and then Councillor Skilton on the. We don't need a second. We've got a second there. So we've got two positions. Again, we're going to have to do a vote on this. So please. So we've got Councillor Woodhead and Councillor Skilton for representation. And as we've got 2, so the winner will be the representative, and the substitute will be the person that comes who isn't the winner. I've got one. Thank you very much. Learned behaviour. Okay, thank you very much. So the chosen representative for the Biggleswade Friendship Group is Councillor Woodhead. So Councillor Skilton, are you happy to be the substitute? Okay, thank you very much. Well done, Councillor Woodhead and Councillor Skilton. Thank you. Next item then is the St John Cotton Education Foundation. 2 members nominations, Councillor Russell.
Can I just say that we have an AGM of the Sir John Cotton, which I'm on, not from this council,
Yep.
separately. And the 2 people who were nominated last year are coming to the AGM. And it would be slightly difficult with timings and dates, I think, if it was changed.
Okay.
So I would like to ask that Councillor Woodhead and Councillor North are carried forward from last year to be able to go to the AGM, which is in a couple of weeks' time.
Okay, that's noted. However, what I'm going to say is that it's right for you to say that, but equally, if there are other people that wish to represent the council on the Sir John Cotton Educational Foundation, please show. Okay, that's not as awkward as it could have been. Well done. Thank you very much. So those Councillor Woodhead and Councillor North. Okay, thank you very much. Next one then, Fen Reeves, 1 member, proxy voter and 1 substitute. Nominations, please, or Councillor Russell and Councillor Skilton. So, so both wish to be the member. So we're going to take it to a vote again then, please. You've got enough pieces of paper. Let's get the photocopier working. So the appointee to the Fen Reeves meeting on behalf of the council is Councillor Russell. Okay, you're happy to substitute Councillor Skilton? Thank you very much. Well done. The next one is the Langford and Biggleswade Community Fund Group. 2 members represent the Town Council. To have nominations, please. So Councillor Thomas and Councillor North. Anyone else wish to sit on this this body? Nope. Okay, in which case, congratulations, Councillor North and Councillor Thomas. Well done. Thank you very much. Next item then is the Police Liaison Officer. So 1 member and 1 substitute. To have nominations, please. Councillor Skilton. Anyone else wish to be the Police Liaison Officer? No other nominations. Okay, in which case, congratulations, Councillor Skilton. Well done. Next one is the Biggleswade Greenwheel Development Group. Oh, so thank you. Do I have a substitute? Thank you. A substitute for that. Councillor Patel, you happy to sub?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Next one then, the Biggleswade Greenwheel Development Group. 2 members, 1 substitute, so potentially 3 people. Nominations, please. Councillor Knight, Councillor Skilton, that's 2. So there are 2 representatives then, unless anyone wishes to show. No, okay, so congratulations, Councillor Knight and Councillor Skilton. Do I have anyone wishing to be the substitute on that? Councillor Albo? Anyone else? Okay, there are 3 representatives. Well done. Thank you very much. Okay. So before I move on, normally at this point, I have a town mayor's announcement point at number 10, but I'm going to bring it forward. Firstly, I just want to say thank you for colleagues, members, for choosing in your wisdom or whatever for me to be the mayor this year. Well done. That's a very good decision. I'm sure you'll live to regret it at some point during the year. I'd also like to thank particularly Councillor Knight for his sterling work over the last year. It's been a great support to me personally, and I really appreciate the sort of the both the challenge but also the support as we've worked well together. So thank you, Councillor Knight. I have no other particular town mayor's announcements for this meeting, so I'm going to move straight on to the item 8, which is apologies for absence. And as you know, we have apologies from Councillor Woodhead. No other apologies. Everyone else is here. So we're going to move straight on to item 9, which are declarations of interest to receive statutory declarations of interest from members in relation to pecuniary interests in any agenda item and non-pecuniary interests. So, Councillor Barrett.
Hi, I'd like to declare a pecuniary interest, please, in item 16E.
16E, okay. So you're aware of what has to happen with that, then we'll come to that when, as and when. Yep. Councillor Strawn.
Non-pecuniary interest in items 17K, 18A and 24A.
Okay. So just remind me that 17.
17K, 18A, 24A.
Okay, and again, Councillor Strawn, I'm sure you're aware of the formalities around that. So, okay, anyone else? Nope. Okay, we will move on to next item on the agenda then, which is the public open session. So, we'll adjourn for a period of up to 15 minutes to allow members of the public to put questions or to address the council through the chairman in relation to matters on the agenda. Anyone wish to speak, please? I see no hands. Okay, not a problem. Anyone online, please? Nope. In which case, we'll move straight on to the next item on the agenda, which is item 12, which is our invited speakers. So we have essentially we've got 2 groups, and we have Mr. H and Mrs. S. Nanda, postmasters of Bond Lane Post Office, and Mr. I didn't do my research yet. You're going to have to help me with this, how you pronounce the surname, please. Postmaster for some Stratton Way. Langirthen, thank you very much. Okay, so welcome. I'm sure you've enjoyed the formalities of the town. You don't always have to go through that process, but you're very welcome to our meeting. I'm sure the clerk has briefed you how long you've got. So I'm not sure whether you've agreed between you who's going to speak first. So. So ladies first. So yeah, over to you.
We just want to make aware really about this.
If you could put your microphone on.
Of course, is that better?
Yeah.
So we just wanted to make really the councillors aware about the banking. That's the lack of banking that's happening in Biggleswade. With Halifax closing, we hear rumours all the time, even about Lloyd's. Nationwide have now agreed to sign up to 2028. And it's just about making people aware really about Biggleswade, what we can do for the banking needs here. We've got the post office in Stratton Way, we've got the post office in the town centre off the High Street. And we want to be able to help moving forward.
Is there anything else you wish to say?
I'm Keith, I'm the area manager for the post office. It's just basically, unfortunately, we have no control over the banks where they want to close their branches. But the post office has signed up to a banking framework with the major banks, and we will offer personal and business banking for people within our branches. You've got two, obviously, you've got Potton around the corner, you've got Upper Caldicott. So there is a network of post offices around here that you can use for your facility. We have certain leaflets, which obviously we have brought along, so if you're more than welcome to take some away. It shows you what banks we deal with, what we can do, both for everyday customers and also business customers. There's a separate leaflet. We are here to provide the services that the banks are withdrawing. I know there's been talk about the banking hub. We obviously spoke about that. Banking hub, councillors can apply to for a banking hub if they want to register an interest. I will like to add that normally Cash Access UK normally won't entertain a banking hub if you've got banking facilities like Nationwide, Lloyds still in the town. But there is nothing stopping you from obviously making an application as a council. I've given the link to Shanaz. So if any councillor or anyone wants to make an application, then obviously we can provide you that link, and that is entirely up to you if you would like to make the application. But that is something beyond the post office control. That is obviously something from an organisation with the banks. Okay.
Thank you very much.
Hi, thank you. So I think it has addressed most of the issues that I was going to talk anyway, but as the lady here as well, we are the new postmasters in here. She took over a few months before me, but I have been only here for 4 months. So we have changed like our opening hours, try to support, the local community. Before they used to shut 3:30, 5:30. So we stay longer, we open longer now. So we are doing our bit to try and help out the community. But I think if you guys push, we might get a banking hub. But I did get an opportunity from the post office side. I mean, I think you might have received the forms as well. So I have registered my interest in Royston, which is far from here anyway. So I am applying to run the banking hub down there. So there's nothing stopping, I think, us trying to get a banking hub down here. So if you guys try and push it, and we are more than happy to help from our side. I think pretty much that's that thing. Kit has addressed everything, so yeah.
Okay, thank you very much. Are you happy to take questions from councillors? Members, Councillor Knight, question.
Firstly, thank you very much for coming this evening. So I used to bank with Barclays, and Barclays have obviously closed their branch in town. I've not yet used the post office, and I should do. Can you sort of summarise at a really high level the types of services that you're able to offer at the post office, but I guess crucially the types of service that you can't offer at the post office, but either a bank would offer or a banking hub would offer? Because I'm not sure I fully appreciate those differences. Thank you.
So basically the main difference is a post office, we can do your cash deposits, cash withdrawals, check deposits. We can do the basic banking transactions. If you want to talk about a mortgage, talk about savings with like Barclays, we cannot help in that sense. We can only do your basic. We can do a balance, get a balance up on your system. We can't do statements or anything like that. Again, that is something you would have to go to a branch or online to do. We can do your everyday banking. That's basically what we can offer.
So to follow up on that, which additional services, if you know, would a banking hub be able to offer that you can't offer?
Basically, the banking hub will do the same transactions as a post office, where they can't do any extra. The main difference with a banking hub is they normally have a room available for the banks, say Barclays, Lloyds, who will have a day where they will have a representative in there. I believe Barclays did have one in the library, is it? Or is that the episode? So that's what a banking hub. Then obviously you would then go in on whatever day your bank is there, and you can talk to them about other things like having problems getting online. I want to talk to you about my savings account. That is the main difference, because they have their own personalised bankers in there. We can't offer advice on Barclays, Lloyds, because obviously technically it's a conflict of interest because we do our own savings accounts. So in no respect, we can't say X, Y, Z. We're not financial experts, but we can obviously do the basic banking transactions.
Thank you. So it's essentially the same counter service plus advice and sales, essentially. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Jones and then Councillor Strong.
Hiya. I've had a couple of residents asking about the difference in technicalities coming to the post office when they have extra complexities like LPAs, for example. Can they still withdraw cash, pay in checks, that sort of thing, when they have lasting power of attorneys on behalf of somebody else if they bring the accompanying documents? Or that sort of takes it into the bit too complicated area?
No, basically what we would do is you would have to present your debit card to withdraw money. Don't need to know it's your bank card as such. If you're a power of attorney and control of that card, then obviously you just carry on we're like a man ATM machine. That's basically what you look at us. So we do not require to confirm that you're Mr. Smith or anything like that. All we would do is, I want to withdraw £300, you give your card over, or put your card in the machine as if you would with an ATM machine.
Okay, thank you. So then for any queries and things, they still need to go to the bank, just thinking about.
Yes, if it's any queries regarding your account on how it operates, then you would need to go either online, over the phone, or to a branch.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much. Councillor Strong.
Thank you. Just looking at the basis of the general banking that you do and can do for others, having had experience of a business that had a town where they closed the bank and having to use the local post office, if you pay in checks, say, the checks don't actually get processed in the post office, as I understand it, in the way they get in the bank and go through. They basically get put in the post to the bank. And it's very difficult when those envelopes with checks, some of which are quite high value, get lost in the post between the post office and the bank. So that is one of the great weaknesses of the post office, not necessarily you, it may be Royal Mail, but there is a difficulty there because it's saying you're offering a banking service and cash. Yes, I'm sure you've got the means of putting the records through to the banks, but it also needs to consider the option of can you do that in the post office for the bank so that it can go through to the banks by computer and it get recorded there. Although again, I hate to mention computers with the post office. That sounds like a terrible own goal.
Okay, answer for that.
Basically, our computer system has no access to the banks, and that is the reason why we can't type in you've paid a cheque for £500 that we created your account. The only way we can do it is literally put it in a pouch that we do, and it is a special pouch that's handed over to the postman with all our specials and priority items each night. It goes into the Royal Mail system, but it is kept separate from your normal first and second class. It is kept separated. I'm not saying it can't get lost, because obviously you've had experience it has got lost, but it is kept separate and it's in the Royal Bay. It should be delivered the next day to the clearing place where we use to process the checks through.
Right, just following on from that, I'm ignorant on banking hubs. You may have knowledge. If the same situation happened into a banking hub, does the same system work there, or would they have the facility to do the direct credit to the bank account?
No, they operate on the same accounting computer system as a post office. It is a post office run, but on behalf of the banking facilities sort of thing. So it will be exactly the same operation as it is in going to Bond Street, Stratton Way, anywhere.
Councillor Barrett.
Hi, well, we have an item on the agenda a little bit later on around banking hubs. One of the things I was going to mention at that point, but I'll bring it slightly forward, is that Link do the assessment of the banking hubs. And what they would do is look at the cash needs, look at the requirements for deposit needs and things like that for the community, and make an assessment whether a banking hub is the appropriate thing and what additional services it might need. So it's that sort of thing that perhaps, you know, councillors are thinking we may need in this community.
Okay, thank you. Any other comments or questions? Oh, okay. Well, thank you very much for coming. I really do appreciate it. Thanks for giving us your time. And you're more than welcome to stay to see the rest of our meeting. about 10 o'clock, you think, so. We have the banking hub agenda item, again, welcome, so, or you're welcome to leave now, it's entirely up to you.
Do you want us to leave any of the leaflets advertising?
Yeah,
what bank-
that would be helpful, yes, please, yeah.
Yeah, so, there's one's for the business and that's for personal.
Thank you. All right, thank you very much. Okay, thank you very much. We'll move on to the next item on the agenda then, which is number 30, members' questions. Are there any members' questions, please? Councillor Skilton first, then Councillor Jones.
Thank you. This is more of an observation, really. It was brought to my attention that the new big theatre is the first theatre, if I can say that, in the last 11 years to be opened in a town like ours in the UK. And I think as a town we should make more of that. And it was quite recently made known to me. I haven't spoken to anyone at the theatre yet, but it might be something that the town council could help market through our social media and things like that, and help promote the town as a centre for the arts, because we also have some fantastic comedy nights in Biggleswade and get some really quite big acts, and we're becoming known as a bit of a cultural hub in the area, and just something we might want to consider helping to promote.
Okay, thank you, Councillor Skilton. So it's worth noting and offer officers to consider. Approach, Councillor. I've lost track of who's Councillor Jones. Sorry, Councillor Jones.
Sorry,
thank you.
Thanks. Yeah, I got distracted. So I had two questions, obviously. I wanted to know if we had any information back from CBC regarding the footpath debate of the last week or so going on in town. So I just wanted to know if we'd had anything back at all.
No, we haven't, no.
Okay, no worries. We shall eagerly await.
Yes.
Yes. And the other question was, I don't know if other councillors had received an invitation to represent the, shall I try that in English? If other councillors, sorry, had received an invitation to represent the council at Saxon's Wellness Open Day. I just wanted to know if anybody was representing the council and had replied. There you go. Amazing. Thank you.
Okay. Anyone else? Any other questions? In which case, we'll move on to item 14, minutes and recommendations of meetings. So firstly, we're going to deal with the town council meetings, so the 9th of April. So we're on page 1 of the minutes, but page 10 of your pack. For accuracy, please, on page 10. Page 11, page 12, page 13, page 14, page 15, and page 16. So you're happy for me, on the basis of no issues, for me to sign those minutes, then thank you very much. Okay. The next item then is the minutes of the Public Land and Open Spaces Committee from the 2nd of April. So again, on page 18 of your pack, any issues there, please? Councillor Jones.
Sorry, I was waiting for you to go through the matters arising from those minutes. I just wanted to ask on the minutes from the.
You normally do the agenda is minutes first, then the matters arising afterwards. So I'll come back to the matters arising if you don't mind.
Apologies, sorry.
Okay, so so we could just do the minutes for PLOS first. So bearing in mind this you're noting that they're there. Obviously the committee will do, unless there's anything particularly that there's a glaring issue, or Councillor North.
Have we done town council minutes on that?
Well, we're doing this note in the minutes of the PLOS committee unless there are any issues in relation to them. Otherwise, the committee will deal with the minutes in detail.
Yes, well, the one key point is we resolved to recommend to council a grant of £7,450 for improvement of the football pitches.
Okay.
At what point should that be proposed? That should be proposed to council and then voted on.
Yes, yes.
Did we, when we did it at the last meeting, didn't we?
Yeah, it went to council and was signed off by council.
It was, yes.
And we're now implementing it. Yeah.
So I think with that's dealt with. So unless there's any other matters on that, we'll move back to the council matters arising. So councillor, so we're going to go to matters arising on page 10. Then page 11, councillor Jones.
Sorry, I got very confused there. I just wanted to ask if Mrs. Birtwistle had a response to the queries that she raised.
I don't know the answer to that myself. I'm going to defer to the clerk on that one.
To admit, neither do I. I will check and come back to you.
So
Or come back to her, rather.
Yeah,
That would be
of course,
better.
if the response hasn't gone, I would like to know one way or the other. Yeah. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks for bringing that to attention, councillor Jones. We're going to move on to page 12. 13 matters arising, 14 matters arising, 15 and 16. Oh, okay. Thank you very much. So we're going to move on to items for consideration. So I had considered maybe adjusting the running order, but given that our invited guests aren't here, we'll stick to the agenda as laid out. So first item 16A is the general power of competence report for members to receive and consider the report from the town clerk and chief executive.
Okay.
Mr. Tarrant.
So obviously I'll make the assumption that members have been able to read the contents of this report. It isn't essential that this report come to annual statutory. It's good practice. As you can see from the report connected to the resolution, it is actually satisfactory to have a resolution that lasts for 4 years. However, when we are audited by internal audit and external audit, they generally look kindly on us if we're able to confirm that this has come back to annual statutory, and it's a reaffirmation that we meet the criteria. So I think it's good practice if members were able to resolve to support this resolution.
Okay, thank you, Peter. Councillor Russell.
Just move that we go ahead.
Okay. Okay, so the resolution is there. Councillor Strong.
Just a question. I appreciate the reason it's good practice that it's be done on an annual basis, although it's not required. No. Isn't there a danger that if, say, the clerk retired, say, at some stage, and in the middle of the period, that this could shoot us in the foot, because we've got the previous resolution would cover the whole 4-year period, I believe, if it's the start. But if we're doing it on an annual basis, is there a risk that if our clerk left for any reason, that we might then lose the general certificate of competence?
I don't believe that there is, because effectively we would default to the original. So it's certainly our auditors recommended that we do it, and it's good practice. So I think I would go with that recommendation.
Okay, so it's been moved and seconded. All those in favour, please show. That is unanimous. Well done. Thank you very much. Next item is the budget planning cycle 16B. So again, where are we? This is Ernest. Over to you, Mr. Bowe.
Thank you very much. The new year draft budget cycle, I will assume that members have already looked through the attachment, which is Appendix A. This has a support from the chairman and the deputy chairman of the Finance and General Purposes Committee. The major change is this time around, we are trying to incorporate a detailed consultation with all the committee members. I will recommend that members please note the budget planning cycle for 2025-2026.
Okay, thank you very much. Members, any comments, questions, please, in relation to the plan? Councillor Barrett.
Just one quite simple question, really. We've mentioned before that certain budget items like external consultants for planning and or things like town centre vision and things like that may involve additional costs in our annual budgets. But it'd be good to just have a line in here that said we actually have a discussion specifically about those things over and above the normal items that are on a committee. It may be implied.
Can you say something?
Yes, as you'll probably be aware, part of the process and one of the most significant elements of the process is to understand evolving budgetary demands, particularly in regard to growth, midterm growth. So what those two issues will be picked up as part of that growth process, and obviously will be discussed with members to see if there's a kind of universal support connected to both items. But it's part of that growth process. Yeah.
I'm sensing though from Councillor Barrett that you'd like it to be specifically within the plan. Is there an appetite within other members of the council to do that, or are you happy that the plan itself will meet that obligation? I'm not sensing that there's any appetite for doing any additional meeting at the moment, Councillor Barrett. Councillor Thomas?
Yeah, I think the plan's fine, and I think it's a lot more than we usually get, so that's excellent.
Let's ensure that we pick up that point within the meeting. Any other comments? One of the things that when I was looking through, one of the evening meetings for Town Centre committee meetings on the 25th of October is a Friday evening. I'm not sure whether it was intended that way, but it's the 25th, Friday the 25th of October. May not be the best day, so perhaps you could review that, unless my dates are wrong, of course. Given that we've got Monday, PLOS was the Monday the 21st, Friday the 25th for TCM, Wednesday the 30th for personnel, and yeah, I think that those are the three. So it's just being aware of where the dates are and if there's a need to be a change on that. I noticed that on the 11th of November, we've got a consultation with broader members. I wasn't clear what that looked like. Was it a meeting in general? Is it a daytime meeting? Is it an evening meeting? What's the consultation going to look like? Just be clear on that, mate. Yeah, go on.
Just to confirm, firstly, this actually repeats the previous exercises that we've done before, but it adds value in the sense of having individual conversations with each relevant committee. One of the things that we've done in the past, of course, as the Mayor will be aware, is that we've then gathered together all members, ideally in a lunchtime session, to give an additional broad briefing connected to the growth elements and to try and seek some sanction connected to that, to have an overall sense of direction. But obviously, officers will try and accommodate what best suits members' availability.
Bear that in mind, given that you've got two dates, one for the outside consultation on the 11th, and then the 15th is particularly relating to the annual fees and white goods. So it's just be aware, consider the members whether the daytime is the best option or whether there's another option. Maybe early even say 4 or 5 o'clock might work better for some members. So bear that in mind.
Okay. Could I make one comment just briefly? So one of the things that we're going to be talking about in a moment is that our internal audit report will be shared with members on the 11th of June, which is good practice when we talk about the AGAR. One of the positives that we've received, we're still working with the auditor to get it signed off, is they were very impressed by the way of members' interaction with the budgeting process. So it's nice that that's been recognised.
Thank you. And there's just one thing. There isn't anything specifically relating to the mayor and deputy having an overview of the budget process, but I'm sure that will be part of the process as well. Okay. If there's no other comments, then we're happy to know the report. Move on, shall we? Okay. Thank you. So next item then, we have the provision of gas contract for members to receive and consider a written report from the head of finance and deputy RFO.
Thank you very much. I believe we all have the updated quotation report, revised one, which has been sent by electronically, and also there's a paper copy on each. So members have obviously we've approached several brokers and energy companies and to come out with a quote for the gas contract for 2024-2025. The quotations changed today, this morning. So we picked out the 3 best ones, and it's only The first one was from Eon, which is the current provider, and the second one from True Limited and Full Power Utility. In terms of recommendation, the officers are recommending a two-year contract with SEFE Energy and British Gas, which will bring a 2-year savings of about 6,326. Please, a decision is required tonight, and I must also say that we've been promised that these quotations are live, and once agreed by the council tonight, we will send them an email and carry on. Welcome. Any questions?
Okay, so this is not the first time that we've gone through this process. Members will be aware. It's very, very difficult, and I know that Ernest has been reached out and talked to our brokers to try and ascertain what the market looks like after year one. So there's certainly obviously a question about whether or not you would want to go with a 1-year contract or whether you'd want the kind of safer option perhaps of going with a 2-year option. One of the other key things of this is that the brokers are required, and they've gone through due diligence connected to the providers. Obviously, it wouldn't make a great deal of sense to go with a kind of low cost option for a company then effectively that might fold in year 1 or year 2. So that's actually taken place. The other thing to stress here is that these quotations are based on previous demand. If that demand were to spike, then obviously the cost would increase. Yeah. If the demand reduces, the cost reduces. So at the moment, you've got a notional cost reduction based on current demand, but it may change. Thank you.
Okay, Councillor Jones.
Thank you. Just a question for the clerk, if that's okay. I'm sure I read somewhere about the boiler not being last year. So is that something to take into consideration, and have we accounted for that in the budget?
Yeah, so
Thank
you for that. Yeah, you're right to say that for a period of time, the Orchard Centre boiler, we had some issues connected to it. However, we've recognised that. So what we've done is, and thank you to Ernest, is when we've sought the quotations from the providers, we've effectively provided them with usage data that goes back 12 months prior. So you've got that sense of higher usage.
Okay, any other comments, questions? So essentially, officers are looking for a clear resolution. So I'm looking for proposals from the floor. We've got a decision to make on, do we support the recommendation of 1 year as a 2-year, or is it 1 year? What are your thoughts? Councillor Jones.
Yeah, okay, I'm happy to propose that we support. I think my question is it helpful is the right thing to do in this situation to agree the proposal is to accept the recommendation, or is it to accept, to give you the choice that in the morning, if prices rise, that you make the most informed decision then?
So it's our intention that when the meeting is finished this evening, to accept whatever you resolve. There will be a communication that will go out to the energy company immediately after the meeting's been finished to make sure that we capture that.
So we're looking for a proposal. So Councillor Knight.
I just want to make sure I understand this, and I'm probably going to make a fool of myself. So I'm looking at the new spreadsheet, and I thought, the way I read it, for the 2-year contract, it was the option, the best option was True Limited with YU Energy. And the SEFE Energy and British Gas, they're the 1-year option. So if we want to go for the 2-year option, we have to go with the YU Energy, is that right? Okay, so I misunderstood what you said then, okay. So basically 1 year with SEFE or British Gas and British Gas, or 2 years with U Energy. Okay, thank you.
Councillor Strong.
Yes, just for clarification, looking at the spreadsheet, the standing charge under True in year 1 is over 200 pence, and in year 2 it's 129, yet it's more expensive in the second year. So I'm not sure exactly how those maths work out. It seems the figures don't seem to match up without. an explanation. So I just don't, because the standing charge is clearly a lot lower, but the units are the same. The units prices are slightly bigger, obviously, in the 2-year one. But it just doesn't. I don't understand necessarily how the equation works.
I'm going to allow the officers to respond to that. Take your time. We've got to make sure we do this, make the right decision here. So. Wish to speak, Councillor Skilton.
Thank you. Could I propose that we let officers go away and make the most cost-effective decision based on 2 years, and just double check, and just do that?
Happy to make that. If that's a proposal. Is there a second of that proposal? No. So, seconded by Councillor Jones. Anyone else wish to comment? Councillor Russell.
I don't think we should put that to the officers. I think we need to make a decision as a council. And I don't know what the answer is to the question that's just been raised, except that they're different suppliers for 1 year and 2 years, which probably makes a difference. I mean, we now have a proposal with a seconder, but I'm not happy to vote for just delegating to the officers. I think we need to make a decision.
Thank you, Councillor Russell. Councillor Knight.
So on my laptop, I've just checked the formula and it looks entirely plausible to me. So if that proposal falls, then I'll propose a 2-year contract with True Limited with U Energy.
I'll withdraw my proposal.
Happy with that? Yeah. So the proposal is then a 2-year contract with True based on the recommendation, seconded by Councillor Russell. We're happy with that. All those in favour then please show. Okay, well done. That's unanimous. Thank you very much. There you go. Thank you, Councillor Knight. So next item on the agenda then is the bus service in Biggleswade, Sandy and Potton area. Members to receive and consider the communication from Adrian Hardy, the Public Transport Manager. So members, you've seen the letter, you've seen the communication. Thoughts, please? Any comments, any thoughts? Councillor Albo?
Yeah, just the deadline was the 2nd of May and
indeed
no extension was accepted. So does that mean whatever we say tonight won't get taken into account by CBC in their deliberations?
I'm going to defer to officers. I do hope not, but given that there is a deadline, I would say it's probably not pointless giving feedback, but we need to make sure that officers.
Our understanding is that it will be taken into consideration. Yeah.
So although there's no extension, that the understanding is it will be taken into consideration. So on that basis, any comments, please? Councillor Skilton.
Yeah, so in the letter here, Mr. Hardy asks for sort of feedback from us based on looking at the timetable. And I just think one important bit of feedback is that there isn't currently a morning bus from Biggleswade that gets you to Bedford for a 9 o'clock start to work that's convenient. You either got to get there at 7:30 or 9:30, and on various routes on here with the surrounding villages in the evenings, that's also the case. So I think we should give that feedback that commuter use should be prioritised because that's when you're going to get peak bus usage.
Good point.
And just to add to that line, and college students, please.
We're noting that. Any other feedback? Similar vein for me. I'm sorry, Councillor Russell.
I was just going to say that I think it's good that Mr. Hardy has come to us and with this report. We haven't had a detailed report like this to Town Council before. It's not easy. He's trying to do something very quickly, and I fully support what Councillor Skilton has said. But I think we do need to say we appreciate the chance to comment, and we would appreciate knowing any changes in the future.
I think that's fair. Absolutely fair. Go on, Councillor Storm.
Just a question. We have a new bus station. Are these new routes going to take that into account in view of what we've been looking at over the last few years in trying to move buses off the town centre into the bus station. That's just an observation.
Thank you for the observation, Councillor Strawn. That's helpful. Councillor Russell.
Apparently Central Beds are going to do a study, but they've now widened it from Biggleswade. So we don't know where we're going, but I can assure you we keep pushing it through the Access for All, where which Mr Hardy attends on behalf of the buses and Central Beds.
Councillor Howard.
Yeah, I don't know if I've misunderstood this or not, but the routes 85 and 85A, the town, the circular route in the town, that's not covered by this, as far as I can see. So the question is, you know, what's going to happen to those routes when Herbert's withdraws, and has anybody else? Is there any other companies tendered for that job?
We can note that. Yeah, obviously, I don't have the answer for that. So, any other comments? So, I had one just in relation to the bit around the highlight of the less positive thing around the last bus from Biggleswade to Dunton would be at 5:10, which does make it challenging for workers in the town, and especially if you're relying on that facility now, whereas currently it's 6:05, which makes it a little bit more reasonable. You may have to wait, whereas now you're essentially may have no option. So I think I'd like that to be noted as well. But yeah, absolutely. The bit about the connection to the main town and sort of the outer villages, where particularly the ones that are close to Biggleswade, we should be looking to have the best routes and times possible for people to work. Go on, Councillor Jones.
I was just to go back, if I may, to Councillor O'Byrne's point. It's a really good point. Is that something we can make a note of and we can ask CBC about the routes 85 and 85A?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. So I perhaps didn't make that clear. Yeah, it should be in our comments. Councillor North.
Yeah, just on that point, if you look at on page 38, it looks as though they're going to incorporate what is now the 85 into the 73.
Yeah, I think probably you're right. I think probably we need to get some absolute clarity, but I think that's the way it seems to be. But that's really helpful. But if it's not clear to members, perhaps it's going to be even more challenging for residents if it's not absolutely clear. So very good point. Okay. Anything else do you wish to be reported back? No. I'm sure the clerks have got the notes down and we'll reflect on that. Okay, in which case we'll move on to the next item on the agenda. Thank you very much. So the next item then is the NHS proposal to members to receive and consider the following motion from Councillor Barrett. Councillor Barrett, have you got anything you want to say in regards to that?
Yes, thank you, Chair. Yes, let me just explain the pecuniary interest I mentioned at the beginning. My wife works part-time for Ivell Medical Centre, so I just want to declare that. And I would like to ask for a special dispensation from members to allow me to present the motion, but also to participate in the debate thereafter. And I think at that point I'd ask for the clerk for advice, but I think I have to leave to allow you to discuss that and vote on that.
Okay, so that's correct. So I'm going to open up to members. Are members happy for Councillor Barrett to introduce the motion and? Sorry?
I've got to go.
Have you got to go first? Off you go. Sorry, I've missed the process. Go ahead.
My wife also worked for GP surgery here in Biggleswade. My wife, she also worked for this. She's a GP here. So, yeah, very interesting.
So.
Do you want to be included in the dispensation to come back?
Yes. If you, we'll include you in it, Councillor Bill, Councillor City. Right. Okay. Peter.
So, okay. If you go back to the Department for Communities and Local Government, there's an openness and transparency on personal interests. And I'll briefly read it as quickly as I can so you understand which of these you want to use, if you want to use them. So the dispensation covers 5 areas. Number 1 is there's a dispensation so that so great a proportion of the council or authority would be prohibited from participating in that business as to impede the council or authority's transaction of that business, number 1. Without the dispensation or the representation of different political groups dealing with that business, it would be so upset as to alter the likely outcome of any vote, number 2. The granting of the dispensation is in the interests of people living in the council or the authority's area. Without the dispensation, each member of the council would be prohibited from participating in the business. Or lastly, it is otherwise appropriate to grant the dispensation, so a catch-all.
So Councillor Strawn.
On that basis, I think we all need a dispensation because I think virtually every one of us will be using the NHS in the town if we live in the town. So I think we're all probably require a dispensation just to transact the business at all.
So are you saying, proposing that it's covered by, I think Peter, you called it a catch-all? So we're essentially allowing Councillor Barrett to introduce and have the dispensation, and Councillor Sajid as well. All those in favour of that approach? All those in favour, please show. That is unanimous. Okay, thank you. Okay, given that the council has allowed the dispensation in the catch-all, all those, so Councillor Barrett, it's over to you to introduce the motion, please.
Thank you. Thank you, Let me just read the motion first, and I'll put a little bit of explanation around that. So to agree the setting up of a working group at Biggleswade Town Council, the working groups are made up of influential people and those with power to influence change. The group's key purpose will be to provide a plan of action for a better level of customer services and healthcare provision in our town now and in the future. The proposal really is that the motion is to have a smaller group of people sitting on a committee or working group with people from NHS and others, whether it be pharmacies and so on, to try and us to be the catalyst to make change. We as Town Council, I think we all agree, don't have any powers in this sort of situation. So, but you know, let's be clear. We as a group, you know, we're not trying or even attempt to solve all the NHS's problems, nor could we. But at the very least, our objective is to agree, although we don't have the powers to make change, we can still strive with those who can make the changes to help with the service provision in Biggleswade. So we can, on behalf of residents, as much as possible, is make sure as much as possible is being done by those who have the appropriate powers for a focused BT convened working group. So that's a suggestion. We would convene that. It may be after time that we can step back because it's working. But I do feel that we as a council should take a stance on this and have a view as to what we believe can or can't be done.
Okay, thank you, Councillor Barrett. So I'm opening up the floor. No comments, please. Councillor Alwyn.
Yeah, I absolutely appreciate the sentiment behind this, but I wonder if it's wise to have a Biggleswade Town Council led arrangement here, because I mean I know Councillor Barrett goes to pains to point out that the Town Council hasn't got any powers in this area, but I think it may get out that it may be assumed by people out there that we do, and we might be raising expectations that we can't actually realise. The other point I wanted to make is that the last meeting that we had with, which was just yesterday, with the practices and CBC councillors and the Integrated Care Board. The Integrated Care Board sort of they seem to want to carry on talking to us, and CBC councillors as well, and they were quite clear on that. I think that they wanted to pursue meetings with us about healthcare provision in the town, and there was an agenda item about where do we go from here, how do we work together, and the sentiment of that meeting was that the Biggleswade Joint Committee might be a good place to actually pursue this. So I think things are moving in the kind of direction that Councillor Barrett is pointing out, but I've definitely got doubts about seeming to put the town council in charge of the process.
Okay, thank you. Any other comments? Councillor Russell?
I think it was quite a good idea yesterday to ask the joint committee to take things forward. I very much welcomed the meeting we had yesterday. I thought it was very useful. But there are other aspects of healthcare. Pharmacy has been mentioned, dentistry is another thing. So I think the joint committee might be able to pull in other people to talk about this on a wider basis. So I would like to see the town council decide to formally ask the joint committee to take discussions with health providers further.
Okay, thank you, Councillor Russell. Councillor Strawn?
If Councillor Russ was proposing that, I would second it, because I believe that yesterday's meeting was very constructive. We learned a lot, those of us that were there, and some of the difficulties and practical issues surrounding it. And I think it's the first one of those meetings where we actually got down to the structure of the local health service rather than individual surgeries and what was happening there. I thought it was very constructive. The Central Beds councillors have got certain control because of land ownership. I think the joint committee can probably do a more constructive result by pulling it together, and they've got greater powers and they've got greater resources than we have here. So whilst I fully appreciate the sentiments of Councillor Barrett's proposal, I think that having had the benefit of being at yesterday's meeting, I think the joint committee is probably the most practical way. Yes, it would be lovely from a point of view of possibly PR for the town council to lead it, but we don't necessarily have the power to do anything in the way that Councillor Barrett recognises in his explanation. So I would second Councillor Russell's proposal there, because I think it is the most practical way forward to produce a result. Although I think we can take this proposal of Councillor Barrett to the joint committee, which he's on, and possibly pursue it further there to make a really constructive process with all the health issues, not just the ones that were discussed yesterday.
Councillor Thomas?
Yeah, I second it as well, because the meeting yesterday, we had quite a few the sort of people that Councillor Barrett suggests. So we also have CBC who are able to fight our corner as well. So in terms of the group he's looking for, I think we already had it in that meeting.
I think the other thing about CBC being involved is that they do have an overview and scrutiny committee, which includes health, and they have a formal relationship as the principal authority with health. So it's another way in to try and get the information that we want and to put forward what the issues are in the town and make sure everybody is completely clear about it.
So before we go, so I think I'm of the same view. I think it's the right approach. I think one of the things that perhaps would be helpful, given that if it does go to joint committee and it's supported in that way, there may be the need for a subgroup or something, and that's for the joint committee to decide which options might be pursued in more detail. But I echo the sort of the thoughts of last evening's meeting. Really sort of quite transparent. I think if we can maintain that approach and use the joint committee in line with that as well, I think that probably would be the right way forward. So Councillor Barrett, over to you.
I'm very much an advocate of we shouldn't have meetings for just meeting's sake. So if there's already a mechanism to take this forward, I very much support the comments from around the table that the joint committee is a very good vehicle for doing that. And be very happy if others are happy for me to present this at the joint committee, being a new member of that committee.
Okay, so the proposal was to take the whole of the NHS issue, or the subject of the NHS, to joint committee. That's been seconded. All those in favour then with that approach, please show. Okay, unanimous. Okay, well done, everybody. Thank you. I'm going to move on to the next item then, which is 16F banking hubs. Again, another motion. Councillor Barrett, over to you.
Thank you, Chair. I'm not declaring any pecuniary interest in this one. And a lot of what I was about to discuss had been picked up earlier on by presentations from those from the post office. But I do feel that we should be, as part of this motion, we should still be writing to the appropriate people to carry out a survey, which is to assess the needs of Biggleswade town council residents generally, as to the benefits of a banking hub or whatever title it is. I mentioned as a response to one of the earlier presentations that Link is an organisation that would carry that out. They sit within this organisation called Cash Access UK, and they do that on our behalf. So we would be able to write to them and say, it's something we've considered. We have lost a number of the banks for different reasons. We have written to them expressing our concern. So my proposal would be that we would write to Cash Access UK and ask them to carry out a survey to assess the needs of Biggleswade. And that would include a lot of the points that we discussed earlier on. Does the post office service provide us what we need, or do we need more because of the business services that were mentioned by other members, or do we need additional banking services as well? And they would assess that need and give us a view as to what we could or couldn't have.
Okay, thank you, Councillor Barrett. Comments from Councillor Knight?
Thank you for the proposal. And it was very interesting to hear from the invited speakers. So of course, I'm concerned to see what NatWest, Barclays, and now the Halifax closed. But it's clear to me that a banking hub is not as good as a bank, or it's better than nothing, but it's not as good as a bank. But we have two banks. We have Lloyds and we have Nationwide. And right now they are both investing in our community, and they are paying rates or rent, and they are there 6 or 7 days a week, certainly 6 days a week, providing the full range of services, including timely processing of checks. So I sort of worry, if we encourage the creation of a banking hub, do we not risk undermining or devaluing their offer? Could it actually backfire, so that a manager somewhere in Lloyds wakes up one morning and says, well, hang on a minute, rather than paying, making up numbers, 500 grand a year to run the Biggleswade branch, we could pay 50 grand a year towards a banking hub, save a whole load of money, and we won't get any shtick because they've opened a banking hub. So I sort of worry the whole thing could backfire, because obviously it's a cheap option for the banks. And also we'd be encouraging the banks that aren't investing in Biggleswade, like Barclays, that I used to bank with, don't anymore, to fight and compete with Lloyds and Nationwide. And actually, I want Lloyds and Nationwide to succeed at this point. I don't care about the other banks. They've had their chance and they've chosen to walk away. So my view is we should do everything we can to support the businesses that are investing in Biggleswade, and absolutely support the vital counter services, because not everyone has the luxury of switching banks. Not everyone can choose where they bank. So those services are essential, but actually not risk undermining Nationwide and Lloyds by encouraging a banking hub, at least while we have two banks still standing.
Councillor Thomas. Thank you, Councillor Knight.
Yes, I kind of agree with Councillor Knight. I think this is where the policy of waiting till you've got your last bank going under, sorry, not going under, but leaving the town, comes from. I think that's the normal process of starting a banking hub up.
Any other comments? Councillor Strawn?
Yes, there's a certain logic to Lloyds closing, or Halifax closing, in that it is owned by Lloyds. It would make far more sense, in my view, to encourage Lloyds to actually take into their own branch, the Halifax part of the business, because that would enable those with the Halifax to have their local banking service. I share the concerns about saying, well, if you're going for a banking hub, why should we bother being in Biggleswade, which would be a danger, I think, of going too far at this stage. So perhaps a more helpful idea might be to write to Lloyd's saying, or Halifax, and saying, as you're part of the Lloyd's group, could you perhaps make better facilities for the Halifax customers who've been made homeless in the town? That way it will hopefully encourage people to say that we're actually working with. The danger, I think, is of going out and going for the banking hub at this stage. And it would be, yes, it'd be lovely to know the statistics and everything else, because they talk about 10% of their customers using the bank, but when you've got 20,000 people in the town, that's 2,000 people wanting to use a bank, in simple terms. So perhaps we could suggest we'd write to the Halifax and to Lloyd, suggesting that they actually look at making it possible to operate the Halifax within Lloyd's and create their own little banking hub in that respect.
Okay, thanks for the idea. I think I'm going to go over to Councillor Barrett.
I think Councillor Wood had suggested something similar at the last meeting, and I think my proposal suggests that that would perhaps go ahead first. So perhaps I should have been clearer in my preamble that we would perhaps wait for that letter to hit their doors and get a response from them before we go on to a banking hub. But I 100% agree with those comments.
Okay, so where do we go from here? So I'm sensing that there's some uncertainty from members about writing to organisations like Cash UK about a banking hub, and whilst we still have 2 banks in the town, but that's only a feeling, and not every member has spoken here. So I guess what I'm looking for is a response to the motion. Do I have a proposal that members can vote on, or Councillor Barrett, are you happy to make a change to it that meets the conversations? Councillor Alban.
Yeah, the last town council, it's in the minutes.
Yeah.
We resolved to accept Councillor Woodhead's motion, but additionally proposing to Halifax that no, actually, it's not quite the same. It says proposing to the Halifax Building Society that if they were interested in setting up an informal banking hub with other banks, the council will be willing to engage. What I hadn't quite read that properly before I put my microphone on, but have we actually written to Halifax on this subject?
So I can confirm, I wrote to Halifax. Haven't had a response yet, but yeah.
So I think the point I made earlier still stands. I'm not getting any real sense that there's a real appetite at this stage. So I'm Councillor Russell.
Can I put a proposal forward that we actually not just write to the Halifax, but write to Lloyd's at a fairly senior level and ask them if they can incorporate Halifax into that site, because there's a lot of room in that building on that ground floor, and then defer the suggestion from Councillor Barrett until we've had some sort of response from them. That would be my proposal.
Seconded by Councillor Strachan. Happy with that, Councillor Barrett?
Very happy
Okay.
to accept that as a way forward.
Thank you for that suggestion, Councillor Russell. So on that basis, I'm going to take it to the vote. All those in favour of that approach, please show. Good. Okay, that's unanimous. Thank you very much. Good to have the conversation. Okay, we'll move on to item 17, which is planning applications. This is Lawnside Lower School, removal of existing temporary unit, 2 classrooms, installation of 2 temporary units with 4 classrooms for toilets and associated works. Now, this is, as you know, is the temporary application pending. Those that attended a meeting at the Lawnside School, there's obviously another application that's due to come, which will be a more permanent option. So this is a temporary plan application that we're dealing with at this stage. Councillor Russell.
I really think we should object to this, particularly if there's going to be a permanent application coming forward. I'm not completely au fait with everything in the way that I was 4 or 5 years ago, but looking at the fact that they are a two-form entry school and they want to be a two-form entry primary school, I think that's far too much. I think it's overdevelopment on that site. It's a small site with housing on most of the sides, plus the school, obviously, and Maythorne. I just think it's too much. I think what should have happened is that it became a one-form entry primary school, which is much more sustainable. The thing is, at the moment, with a PAN, public admission number of 60, with being a lower school, that's 300 students. With being a primary school, that's 420. That's a huge increase, and we already know that they've had to put in place restrictions on parking and all of that because of the activity with the current level of students. And I just think this is far too much, which is why they're focusing on the avenue. And we all know about the avenue, unadopted, private road. It now appears that Central Beds have taken it over. But until now, residents of the avenue thought they were responsible for the road. It would appear that CBC took ownership in August 2022, with residents not even told about it, let alone consulted. That is an uncomfortable reminder of what happened with our market square when Central Bedfordshire suddenly registered it with the land registry so that the town doesn't own its own market square anymore. And since 2022, nothing has been done to upgrade the avenue. The only drainage is apparently privately owned with the houses at the bottom of the road. No street lighting. That's not very good for access to a school, is it? And it would appear that part of the avenue has been handed to the school by Central Beds because it's within the red line on the application drawings. So I'm really concerned about what's happened there. I'm concerned about the number of students on that site. Also the fact that apparently there will be staff parking access from the avenue. So I'm asking myself, what access will the school have after construction? Staff parking maybe. Will the pedestrian gate be reopened for students? But it was closed in 2014 for safety reasons. So how is it going to be more safe with 120 more students? Will parents be allowed to drop off in the avenue? Where will they turn? More safety concerns for both pupils and the residents of the avenue. How is this affected by the book being one way? And that's before you consider the whole construction process, which is difficult and very likely to cause damage. Highways officers themselves for the council say that the swept path analysis is extremely tight at the junction of the Bork and the avenue. Resident parking on the Bork will be reduced during construction, so that's more congestion. Where are those residents supposed to park? And there's obviously going to be even more damage to the avenue with heavy vehicles going down there if this thing goes ahead. Who's going to be responsible for repairing the road and for any other damage? Are Central Beds going to come up to the table at that point, or are they not? And what do they intend to do after the construction phase? Will they upgrade the road? Will they even adopt it? But adopting it could have a deleterious effect on residents anyway, because what happens if they decide they need to put double yellow lines everywhere to stop people dropping kids off or parking down there? What effect is that going to have on the residents of the avenue? So, yes, I'm fully in favour of the town moving to two-tier education. I've been in favour of that for the last 20 years. I think this could have been done in a different way. I think the fact that the site is so small should have been recognised. The PAN should have been reduced to 30, so it's a single form entry school. So that's 7 times 30, which is only 210, instead of the, actually I've probably got that figure quite somewhat wrong. I'll come back to that in a minute. but it would be a lot less pupils if we had a single form entry. That would mean that other schools in the town had to have a larger entry. But we know that there is capacity for September still within the town with some of the schools. And the other thing that occurred to me is that we've got Land East as a development, which at some point will be built out, and we'll have at least one primary school. There has been talk of 2. Wouldn't it be more sensible for Lawnside to move to the new school building? And then they can increase to 2 form entry again, or even more if it's needed. But the other thing about all of this is that from my understanding, yes, there will be an increase in demand for school places in the short term, but in the medium to long term, it's likely to drop off again, given the numbers coming through at the moment. So I'm afraid I think we should object to this because it is overdevelopment on a site completely surrounded by housing, and should suggest that the PAN should be reduced to 30, so it's a single form entry school. And then I think we should list all of these concerns that I've been going through.
Thank you, Councillor Ross. I'm just mindful of the fact that we're dealing with a planning application rather than the specifics of the decision that's been made. So we need to be mindful of the planning elements rather than the, although I agree with some of your thoughts there. So this one is the temporary planning application. There's as residents that attended the meeting will be aware, there's a more longer term solution, if you like, for this. So we're looking at this one on a temporary basis. I think some of the points you made are valid. I'm going to offer it up to others to speak for now, if I may.
Yes, except that it's temporary, but if this is agreed, the permanent one is far more likely to be agreed.
Noted, thank you. Members, other comments, please. Councillor Skilton.
Yeah, I agree with all of Councillor Russell's points there. I think there are plenty of planning considerations in the issues she's raised there, and we should object to this planning application. I think I've had conversations with some of the residents in the avenue, and while there may be sort of if this development does come, there may be options to look at to help mitigate some of these things. Our first position must be to object to it initially.
Okay. Any other comments? Councillor Strong.
I think it's quite clear there could be a very bad effect on the occupiers of the properties in the avenue after a road that was theirs and could possibly still be regarded as their responsibility because CBC have not yet adopted it. So there's a great impact on those, which goes into addition to the basic planning on the actual school, but the access is clearly unsuitable for the purposes of installing these units. So I think that it's essential that we object.
Okay, Councillor Jones.
I don't disagree actually with any of the comments raised. I think my concern is around, we object to it, but the places have already been allocated for September's intake. And therefore, if the school has more than one class filled for September, it leaves them stuck. So I would support objecting, but I think all of Councillor Russell's points need to be channeled into the right department to open up a conversation, because decisions have already been made and things have been set and they're rolling. So how do we, I suppose my question is more on how do we influence and shape moving forward, knowing that there is already a pathway in place? I don't know if Councillor Russell maybe has any insights or anything, but it's trying to keep both routes travelling at the same time.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Barrett.
I think there's 2 elements to this. I think we should be objecting based on the pure planning reasons, which are access and overdevelopment, et cetera, but I think we also have heard some very good, strong arguments that we should also be writing to those who are looking at the wider allocation of schools places in and around Biggleswade separately, and that's raised a separate issue. I'm not sure we can include that in the planning application side of things. So I think there's 2 pieces. One, we object based on pure planning reasons, and the second thing is a wider argument that we need to also be putting forward.
I agree. I think that the town council and the community have had an opportunity previously to make representations about the school, the location, the pan, and all that feedback was responded to and dealt with, and ultimately has resulted in what this approach. So I don't disagree with the sentiment, but I think we need to be focusing on this element on the planning side, and then another element on that, as you say, Councillor Barrett. So I'm looking for a clear proposal in relation to the planning application only, Councillor Rust, if I may.
Well, there are three things for me. It's overdevelopment, there's the access problem, and there are the possible safety issues if that were to go ahead. I don't think it's right that we've been bounced into this, and I know some colleagues, because you've got younger children, have been involved. I haven't seen anything about this before it's come to council now. To understand actually what it's going to involve, because it's one thing just saying, oh yes, we'll make it 2-tier and blah, blah, blah. So I take on board what Councillor Barrett said. So I would like to add as a separate part of the motion, part 2, that we write to Central Beds separately to the Director of Children's Services and say that we're not happy for the other reasons that I've said earlier on about the pan and the number of children on the site, and reiterating the safety aspect, reiterating all the issues if the school is then operational about access, parents dropping off, staff using the avenue and all the rest of it.
Okay, so
which I can articulate separately.
Okay, so Councillor Alban.
Yeah, so it's obviously not in this planning application that the gate will be used for pupil access, but that has been raised with the residents, and that may come in the second application, I guess. But I think it's important to say now, as part of this part 2, that we believe it would be unsafe to use that access for pupils, drop off and pick up times.
Okay, Councillor Skilton. Councillor Skilton, I think. Yep.
Do we also need to write to CBC Assets expressing our concern that they've taken ownership of a road without informing the residents that live on it?
We can. I'm again very conscious trying to be refocusing our attention on the planning application, but there are other elements that there. So let's note that about the so it's essentially a 3-part response almost to this, and isn't it? So you've got the road, the school, the intake in terms of the pan, and sort of that approach. But primarily for this one, it's around access, overdevelopment, and the safety element, and particularly the comment around making sure that there's that the gate in the avenue is not used as part of access to the building and to the school. Is that? I haven't articulated it as well as you might, Councillor Russell, but is that essentially a summary of what you're thinking? Councillor Strong, before we go to a vote.
Just an observation. If CBC have already determined the fact that it should be two entry form entry, haven't they acted rather prematurely in having assumed that they're going to get planning permission? If a private individual did that and they were coming for retrospective planning, which is virtually what they're doing, we would be down on them like a ton of bricks, and CBC would be down on them a ton of bricks. I'm not sure whether I've missed the point somewhere, but that seems to me possibly what they've done is they've actually assumed they're going to get the planning permission and gone ahead regardless, and now expecting everybody to fall in line.
Okay, so thank you very much for that. So, so 3 points to this then. So there's the town council, the proposal is that the town council objects to this planning application on the basis of access, overdevelopment, potential safety issues with access via the avenue, and in particular that the objection to want to make clear that the gate in the avenue, were this to go ahead, although this council doesn't support this particular application, that the gate in the avenue cannot or should not be used. Is that happy with that summary? It's okay. So we'll vote on that element first. All those in favour, please show. Okay, any against, any abstentions? No, so that's a unanimous approach to the planning application. The next element then is the writing, to ask the officers to write to the Director of Children's Services in relation to the approach taken around the PAN at Lawnside School, consideration to approaching to articulate a bit more. I haven't read any further notes. So is there anything else that is particularly around the fact that we're, it's a two-form entry school, and given the site and the size of the site, the town council feels that perhaps that isn't appropriate. Happy with that? I mean, perhaps you've got any additional words that would make it a bit clearer for residents and for us.
Without going through all the notes again,
so, but essentially
it's
it's writing to. You're happy with that approach then? So all those in favour, please show. Okay, thank you very much. And then the third element to this, again, not relating to the planning application, but it's writing to the Director of Assets in relation to the ownership of the avenue, and to get some clarification on the ownership of the avenue, and more particularly around the maintenance regime and what might happen to the avenue and who's responsible for it. Anything else in relation to that, Councillor Skilton?
Well, I think we should also express our concern that residents weren't informed about that decision when it was taken.
Okay, happy with that? All those in favour, please show them. Any against? No, no abstentions. Okay, thank you very much. We will move on to. So I can't allow it. It's a public meeting. Okay, thank you. Right, thank you. Right, I'm going to move on to the next item on the agenda then, which, sorry, right page, we're on 17B, car park at A1 Retail Park, installation of electric vehicle charging hub and associated infrastructure. Councillor Skilton, then Councillor Jones. Thank you very much.
I think we should object to this planning application. I think this will start creating that area of London Road and the kind of retail park area into a motorway service station, and the road network and junction is not up to that. There's already very poor walking and cycling provision around there, and increasing vehicle movements, which this may do, would not help that. And I also have concerns that the kind of fast food and kind of bakery elements around there would probably attract people who are charging their cars, and then I think you could have a litter problem and things like that, because it won't be managed like a service station would be managed, and I've got concerns around that.
Okay, any other comments? Councillor Jones?
Thank you. I also object, but for slightly different reasons, and I apologise now for the amount of writing that might be involved after it sounds like all the letters that will be sent. I don't feel we need 12 spaces. I appreciate that we might need a few there, but because it is a retail shopping area, but I don't feel we need 12 spaces. I think I worked out there's around 21 now around the town. I think I read somewhere. And we know that utilisation is lower. I remember Councillor Knight ages ago kindly did a whole investigation for us to understanding the utilisation of the electric charging points in town, which aren't taken up all the time. So I agree that some are good, but I don't think when we've lost lots of other spaces to we buy any car in the retail park as well. The ecologist officer's unhelpful comments of simply replace a tree is not what I consider environmentally friendly. And I found myself thinking of a very unhelpful comment myself of this is just put in there for revenue for the landowners. So I was not happy with that. I hope a comment like that isn't indicative of CBC's attitude towards our local environment in general, that we can just pull up any trees we want and then replant them in other places and that will be fine, because that's not an acceptable approach as far as I'm concerned. And the principal highways officer's argument that these would attract people to the town flies completely against that usage that Councillor Knight kindly did for us ages ago, and I double checked myself over the weekend, also is not at full capacity of those current 21 connectors that we've got. So I'd like to add that to Councillor Skilton's objection, please.
Thank you very much. Councillor Gilchin.
Just an observation then on Councillor Skilton's comments, and whether you're aware, McDonald's are actually having electric chargers installed currently. So they're right next to them.
I made the same comment about those ones as well.
Yeah.
Okay. Any other comments?
Just one, just again, it's a observation. We are sustainable and a green council. So we should take that into consideration when we're looking at these sorts of things as well, when we're thinking about these. I take into account all the points that have already been made, but I think we should be coherent of that as well.
Councillor Russell?
The other problem is that everybody's rushing to put these electric charging points in, and the particular supermarket where I go, I have never ever seen all of the charging points being used. So we're over providing because people aren't buying electric cars. So green as we might want to be, if we think electric cars are green, and I have my doubts, you know, it's just too much all the time, and it's stopping parking for other people.
Councillor Barrett?
I think this sort of falls into slightly the earlier sort of planning application discussion as well, that are we looking at the provision of electric points across the whole of Biggleswade and taking that into account, or are we doing it in individual chunks, which is what it sounds like at the moment. So I think I take the earlier point, we shouldn't be writing too much to people at the moment, but is there actually a body looking after the introduction of all these different points at different places around our town and region? Because I'd like to understand that before these sorts of planning applications come up, so I'm a little bit more informed about the strategy.
Go ahead, Councillor North.
Mr. Mayor, just to respond to Councillor Barrett's point, I think that this is really being driven, or the whole issue is being led by CBC, as far as I understand it, and they have a contract, a deal with BP Pulse to provide chargers, and they are actually doing that in various places. And they have some in Biggleswade, of course. So yes, in answer, there is a body that is organising this and trying to get it sorted out. Whether they're doing a very good job or not is a different question, but it is there, a sort of coordinated rollout of these things.
Okay, I'm going to go to Councillor Straw and then Councillor Russell, but I'm conscious of time here, so we'll round it up after that. Go on, Councillor.
Very briefly on the point of policy, perhaps we should be taking this particular point to town centre management to have a view, so that we've actually got a firm view on how we're going to deal with these. And I think we can continue going around the houses today over this particular one, but I think a strategy for the town is needed, and that could go to town centre management. Okay, my own personal view on this, I'm just going to leave it there after that. I think there's a balance here. I think we shouldn't just be objecting unilaterally on every one of these, and it seems to be an approach that we need to be looking at each one and be mindful of the fact that there is an appetite for this sort of facility for some residents, and I think take on board the feedback here. I think there's perhaps somewhere in between. But I'm going to take it to the vote. So the proposal is to object to this planning application for the reasons that were made. All those in favour, please show. All those against? And I'm going to abstain. There you go. And Councillor Alban as well. Okay, so that is carried. Thank you very much. We'll move on to the next one, which is the ground floor 29 High Street, Biggleswade, projecting signage, blue brackets, etc., etc. All the comments, please.
No objections.
Yeah, I think some of it
is there.
It's not Halifax, it's nationwide, isn't it?
It's nationwide, yeah.
Halifax. Yeah, okay, no objection.
Move no objection, and it's not internally illuminated, which is the problem we usually have.
Okay, everyone happy with that one? Okay, next one then, we'll number 20 Market Square, replacement illuminated fascia sign projecting sign to front elevation. Specsavers, is it this one? Yeah, comments? No objection, subject to neighbours, yep, okay. Next 124 Mead End, first floor extension, comments? Okay, happy with that, everybody? Yep, okay. Unit 4 Normandy Lane, variation of condition 30 in the planning permission, etc. To accommodate 4 additional units, flexible. So this is an additional 4 units on that site. Any comments? Happy? Yep. Right, next one, 12 Stratton Way, the erection of 2-storey side extension. Comments? Happy again with that? Not seeing any dissent, so that's our approach. 12 Lilac Grove, single story rear extension, replace existing conservatory. Happy? Okay, fine. 19 Ival Gardens is a works to a tree protected by a tree preservation order and in a conservation area. The removal of a horse chestnut tree, T7. Comments? Go on, councillor.
I feel like I'm the only one that champions trees. I'm not even obsessed with trees, to be honest.
And luckily, if that's the case, councillor Jones,
No, but
over to you.
I couldn't find an arborist report online when I went on. I don't know if anybody else could. So I would just say that we would support as long as dependent upon whatever, we would follow the arborist advice.
Councillor Albert?
Yeah, they claim it's diseased and 50% dead, but that's not that. That's the residents' report, I think. So yeah, I would go along with Councillor Jones.
So no objections, subject to an arborist report. Okay, happy with that approach? Indeed, yes, very precise. And I should have realised that was going to happen. So thank you, Councillor Strong. Councillor Barrett.
Sorry to prolong things up. I'd actually object on the basis that it has a TPO and it shouldn't be taken down because we haven't got the information in the planning application to give us the information. The arborist report is not there, so we should object on what the planning application actually is.
So I've now got two approaches. One is not to object and one is to object. So I'm going to take the no objection on subject to the arborist's report not having any, they're saying that it's justified, and then depending on where that goes, I'll take council back. So all those in favour of that approach, please show first. That's 1, 2, 3, 4. So all those against that approach, please show. Okay, so that, what's the terminology? What was that fell? So councillor Barrett, then you make your proposal, please. Seconder. All those in favour, please show. Okay, that is carried. Thank you. We will move on to number, where are we here? 17J, 19 Manor Court works for a tree protected by a TPO, 1 horse chestnut, etc., etc. Comments, please?
I would say no objection. They're actually doing the correct works to trim, reduce. They're not trying to remove it. They're actually trying to protect the tree.
Any other comments? So no objection. All those in favour, please show. Okay, that is unanimous. Okay, so we are going to move then on to 17K.
Declared a non-pecuniary interest. Do you wish me to remove myself, or I won't be speaking anyway? So
I'm going to take Councillor Russell.
It's okay, isn't it?
So if we're happy, so Councillor Russell, did you wish to speak?
Yes, I think we need to make it clear publicly that we're completely against this second application for Land North, and that we are going to fight the next item, the planning appeal. But I don't think we're in a position to have a proper discussion now because there's a lot of work that we need to do. And so I'm suggesting that these are deferred to a later council meeting, particularly in light of the fact that we've got some commercial decisions to make under exempt.
So deferring in line with Councillor Russell's comments, all those in favour of that approach, please. I did have a second of that approach, by the way. So Councillor Thomas, all those in favour, please show. Okay, so defer. Councillor Jones?
Can I just ask the notes be amended because there's some incorrect dates in these notes here?
Yes, noted that.
Thank you.
Yep. We've got 2024 rather than 2023 on both of the dates, haven't we? So 17K is deferred. We're going to move on to 18A.
I've made the same observation as I did for 17K.
Same thing, and I think
I was trying to make a proposal for both. That's probably naughty. I'll make the same proposal for this one.
Second for that approach. All those in favour, please show. Okay, thank you very much. That is unanimous.
And again, the date amendment, it's on the notes.
Again, yes, the 2023 rather than 2024. We are going on to then 18B. This is the land to the east of Langford Road, Biggleswade, and north of Queen's Way. This is again relating to the appeal. Previous resolutions, the Town Council objected to this application on the grounds that it would have impact on the already congested roads in Langford and Biggleswade. Councillor Russell.
We've already objected to it, so that objection will go to the planning inspector. But our objection wasn't in any detail, and I've put together some notes, and if I could go through them, this would be my proposal for a slightly more detailed response to go into the planning inspector. So to start with, the site isn't allocated in the current local plan, and the local planning authority, CBC, claim that they've got a 5.52 year land supply, which indicates that there's no need for a development of 170 dwellings. Although it's within the parish of Langford, the development is in open countryside and would be a significant move towards coalescence with Biggleswade and harmful to the character of both communities. Langford Road is a narrow road which is already very busy at peak times, and further journeys would lead to unacceptable delays. The only available bus services are very limited community services. The nearest employment is in Biggleswade, as is the nearest station for access to the East Coast Main Line for commuting. However, access to these facilities in Biggleswade is not easy. Langford Road becomes Hitchin Street within the town, a narrow street with terraced housing with no off-street parking, which is already difficult to navigate at peak times. Increased movements would lead to even worse queuing. Access to the railway station would also involve navigating the town centre with its narrow roads, which can be very busy with queues in the high street. And for the above reasons, Biggleswade Town Council strongly objects to this proposal. That would be what I'd like to put forward, Chairman.
So any comments? Okay. Mr. Tarrant, did you wish to make any observation?
Please, thank you. There is an opportunity for some additional input if you would wish, looking at Councillor Russell.
I know
if
what
you
you're
think that's
referring
credible.
to, that additional input has happened.
Excellent, thank you.
It was the confirmation that it's not allocated, and about the 5-year land supply, which is critical.
Okay, other comments then, please. Councillor Jones?
Just a thank you for pulling that all together.
Anyone else? So we have a proposal from Councillor Russell to respond in this way to the inspector. Do I have a seconder for that approach, please? All those in favour, then please show. Okay, that is unanimous. Thank you very much. Well done. So I'm going to move on to the next one, which is item 19, planning application outcomes. Members' comments, please. I'll start from the chair on this one. It's quite satisfying to note that the application by ASDA to have their condition amended has been refused. That's very satisfying. I'd also like to point out, though, that the Town Council objected to for the Grove on the grounds of impact on the street scene, overbearing on adjoining properties, potential loss of light and the use of non-similar materials, but that application was granted, which is a little bit disappointing as well. I think this it's well worth looking through the document, but they're my observations, but particularly the ASDA one, I think is very good news for residents. It's the right decision. Any other comments anybody wishes to make? Otherwise, we'll note the report. Oh, okay, we'll note. Thank you very much. Next one then, where are we? Thank you. Trying to find where I am. Accounts, right, so item 20, accounts. So this is the February accounts and the March accounts. Ernest, over to you.
Yeah, thank you very much. The February 2024 management report is consistent with the good practice of the council. The projected outing after month 11 suggests an underspent of about £6,018. The financial management report, in terms of the numbers, is within the appendix A, and recommendation is members to please consider and approve the February 2024 management report. If there is no questions.
Members' questions, then. Thank you. Any comments? No. So, Councillor Strawn, anything from you?
No, I think sorry, if members have no questions and they're obviously happy to note it, so I move that the reports be noted.
So members are receiving the reports as laid out. Thank you very much. I'm not seeing any dissent. So that's the approach then. So we'll go, and then the same thing. Does the same thing apply to March?
No.
No. Okay. So go to March then.
So March is month 12, and the usual 4 reports, which is the balance sheet, the detailed income and expenditure. Sorry, for March and payment lesson from March are all on the website, please, as usual. But the close down accounts of the position will be shared with members on the 11th. And the reason why there is a delay is we were waiting for the internal auditor to look through first. What we did not want to do is to report and amend again. So now that has happened, and the close down, which is month 12, will be shared with members on 11th of June, 2024.
Okay. Anything else you want to say, Peter?
Only to say, just to support what Ernest was saying, month 12, because it is month 12, effectively, you don't do a separate projection. You include it then in your close down of accounts. Thank you.
Okay. Comments, please. Are you happy to note the report? Okay. All those in favour then please show. Lovely. Thank you very much. That is carried. So we'll move and then on to essentially 20D, which is the comment about AGAR coming to the 11th of June. That's all that report is to note.
Yes,
nothing more for members to consider there. And also 20E, the deadline for receipt of AGAR is the 30th of June. So we'll consider it on the 11th of June. I'll sign it off at that point, and then it's submitted by the 30th of June. Correct.
And obviously that's complemented by members' oversight of the internal audit report, the final. Thank you.
So it's noting. Thank you very much. So I'm going to go straight on to item 21, items of information. This is the road closure on Home Court Avenue, London Road, Dunton Lane. Any comments, Councillor Skilton?
So this part of Home Court Avenue, or sorry, not this part, the southern part, forms part of the Biggleswade Green Wheel, and I just think we should write to CBC and ensure that their streetworks teams ask them to ensure that their streetworks teams take into account pedestrians and cyclists using the Biggleswade Green Wheel.
Okay, any other comments? Happy with that? We're right to the CBC team? Yep. So happy with that approach? Okay, all those in favour please show. That's unanimous. Okay, and no other comments. Thank you very much. We'll move on to the next one then. Public open session. We are public open session. Do we have any members of the public present? No. Okay. In which case, usual story. Following resolution, we move that it's advisable in the public interest, the public and press are excluded while the following exempt item is issued and discussed. And we have a planning update. All those in favour, please show. That is carried. Meeting closed pending